When you think of prehistoric times and fossils, what do you picture? Many people probably think of the many terrible lizards we know as dinosaurs. Dinosaurs still fascinate kids and adults alike today. It's so much fun to imagine what the Earth looked like millions of years ago. What would life be like if Tyrannosaurus rex, Velociraptor, and Stegosaurus still roamed the Earth? But were dinosaurs the first living things on Earth? Or were there other animals on Earth before the dinosaurs ruled the world? Dinosaurs did indeed rule Earth for 180 million years between the Triassic and the Cretaceous periods. But they weren't the first to do so. They were the wackiest, weirdest, and most wonderful animals that ruled the world hundreds of millions of years before the dinosaurs. A soft-bodied predator, unlike anything alive today, stalked the world's oceans more than 500 million years ago. Anomalocaris, also known as the unusual shrimp, is widely recognized as the world's first apex predator, akin to the killer whale of its era. Anomalocaris was the first hunter of the Cambrian period, measuring up to 1 meter in length from its grasping frontal appendages to the tips of its tail fans. It is believed that Anomalocaris used its appendages to catch and crush prey. For a long time, hard-shelled marine arthropods, known as trilobites, were assumed to have been Anomalocaris' favorite snack, but new research has suggested that this predator was more of a weakling incapable of cracking tough trilobite armor. It's now believed Anomalocaris was a hunter that relied on speed, agility, and superior sight rather than strength. It probably targeted other fast, soft-bodied animals that lived in open water. Before vertebrates established their dynasty on land, the arthropods, a huge group that includes insects, spiders, and crustaceans, ruled unchallenged. Arthropleura, a 2.6-meter-long mulch-eating millipede, was the largest of them, roaming the beaches and forests of ancient England. This giant creepy-crawly lived during the Carboniferous period. He ruled its environment by dominating forest floors. It took 40 million years in a worldwide rainforest collapse before distant ancestors of Tiktaalik began to outcompete arthropods. Despite its large size, Arthropleura was herbivorous. In fact, one of the first mainly herbivorous terrestrial animals. They possessed powerful jaws, but it's unlikely that they used poison as a defense mechanism. On land, one of the most important groups of evolved reptiles was the pelycosaurs. These creatures appeared toward the end of the Carboniferous period and persisted well into the Permian, dominating the continents for about 40 million years. By far, the most famous pelycosaur was Dimetrodon. Dimetrodon is mistaken for a dinosaur more often than any other prehistoric reptile. But the fact is that the creature lived and went extinct tens of millions of years before the first dinosaurs had even evolved. Dimetrodon was a carnivore feeding on fish and tetrapods, including reptiles and amphibians. It grew to the length of more than 3.5 meters and had a large sail on its back. Elongated vertebral spines connected by a membrane containing many blood vessels presumably formed the sail. The skull of Dimetrodon was high and narrow, and the region in front of the eyes was long. The many teeth of Dimetrodon varied in size. Its most iconic feature, though, was that sail. For a long time, researchers thought its function was to regulate body temperature across a range of habitats. It's now thought the sail was used as a giant billboard to display sexual readiness and scare off rivals. A similar sail is found on the related but herbivorous Edaphosaurus, a herbivore with a smaller head and more modest teeth. Given the physiological importance of thermoregulation, there arises the question of why all the various members of Dimetrodon and Edaphosaurus's taxonomic group, Pelycosauria, did not have sails. The timing and sequence can't be pinned down precisely, but paleontologists believe that sometime during the early Permian period, a branch of pelycosaurs evolved into reptiles called theropsids. One of the earliest descendants of theropsids is called Cynognathus. A cross between a dog and a lizard, Cynognathus was one of the top predators of its time. These fierce animals hunted in packs using their sharp teeth and powerful bodies to drag down prey. Cynognathus had so many similarities to mammals that scientists believe that this creature gave rise to all modern mammals. This was one of the first animals with specialized teeth. Two-pointed canines stabbed into a victim, and the rest were sharp incisors that sliced through meat. Cynognathus was relatively small, but that didn't stop it from tackling huge prey. Attacking in groups, one beast would clutch the victim's throat in its jaws, while the others tore away the prey's back and stomach. Though Cynognathus was a reptile, it had many features of modern-day mammals. Only mammals have long canine teeth like those seen in Cynognathus fossils, and the prehistoric beast's skin was likely covered in fur, also a trait of mammals. Moreover, unlike most reptiles of the era, it positioned its legs underneath its body, not out to the sides. Paleontologists speculate that Cynognathus is the original ancestor of all mammals. This dog-sized, furry reptile roamed before the time of the dinosaurs. Sadly, the therapsids were doomed by the end of the Triassic period, muscled out of the scene by the Rauisuchians. Ironically, they happen to belong to the next same taxonomic clade that dinosaurs fall under, Arthropleura. However, instead of being part of the division that includes birds and their extinct relatives, they instead belong to the Pseudotsuchia, which includes crocodilians and their extinct relatives. It is believed that Rauisuchians first emerged some 249 million years ago during the early Triassic and currently consist of 39 different genera. They are defined as Triassic Pseudotsuchians, which were usually extremely large, predatorial, and quadrupedal, though exceptions to these traits exist. Today, the group is often described as being informal, meaning it is paraphyletic rather than a well-defined group. But what is well-defined is that these creatures were extraordinary, because out of every land predator to ever emerge, it was them who came closest in size to rivaling the immense statues seen in giant theropods. Most Rauisuchians ranged from 4 to 6 meters, or 13 to 20 feet, in length comparable to giant crocodiles. Some species grew even larger, for instance, Pastosuchus. Arguably, the most famous Rauisuchian reached 7 meters or 23 feet, making it the largest predator in its environment. Certain relatives, such as Saurasuchus and Prestosuchus, grew up to 7.5 meters or 25 feet, surpassing the size of all terrestrial mammalian carnivores alive or extinct. Thanks to their size, Rauisuchians were often the apex predators in Triassic ecosystems, overshadowing any known predatory dinosaur of the time. This dominance was particularly evident during the early Triassic, a period when large herbivores were rare due to the mass extinction that had occurred just prior. Everything in Thalassasuchus' environment, including early dinosaurs like Corydosaurus and Zoopasaurus, would have been at its mercy. Hey, if you enjoyed the video, kindly give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you in the next video.